Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tello Community Television. With me today is the leader of the official opposition and the leader of the Liberal Party, Zach Churchill.
Jake, thanks so much for having me on. Good to be back with you.
Maybe what we should talk about is your recent visit to Cape Breton, your tour, and how things went there.
Oh, we had so much fun coming into Cape Breton, as I always do. I was in Anielma Dam with our candidate here, Rochelle Hoods. We went to a seniors breakfast, met with Legion members, met with a local business that's doing great work building affordable homes for people and is having some issues getting them, getting these affordable houses developed, and was really exciting. Obviously, there's issues that people are dealing with. Seniors are really struggling with cost of living, worried about the worsening state of our healthcare system, access to emergency care, family doctors, and in chatting with the Legion members, they're really worried about veterans not being able to access long-term care beds that were previously dedicated for veterans. So these are all issues that we've been working on and trying to develop solutions to.
One of the things we were talking about earlier was the Premier's attempts or want to double the population of Nova Scotia. And you were saying how you didn't feel that was sustainable. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, the Premier has successfully been hitting his targets to double our population every year at a time when we're out of housing, at a time when our healthcare system is being overrun and when our schools are overpopulated. So, I mean, growth is good. We want to keep growing our population, but it has to be sustainable, and we can't grow more quickly than we have the capacity to provide housing and services to people. And we've really, I think, hit a wall here with what we're able to do. And I mean, this is driving costs of housing up in particular. It is increasing challenges in our healthcare system. We have less doctors per capita now than we used to. We have less houses per capita than we used to. And we really think he's got to be smarter with how many individuals he's nominating to come and move here.
Now, in the most recent sitting in the legislature, one of the things you guys seemed to hit on was about affordability. And, trying to put more money into pockets of Nova Scotians, I believe is the term that you guys used in a couple of press releases and statements that you issued. And one of the measures was to promote a cap and trade system as opposed to the carbon tax. Maybe you can explain to people what is the difference between the carbon tax system and what you're proposing as a cap and trade.
We actually used to have a cap and trade system in Nova Scotia when we negotiated that with the federal government when we were in power, and essentially it puts the price on pollution on the industrial side. So the biggest emitters pay the higher tax on the pollution that they're emitting, on the carbon that they're emitting. And that kept the price off the pumps for consumers. So it's a system that doesn't impact the affordability issue here in Nova Scotia as much. And it's one of a number of measures that we're proposing. I mean, no matter who I'm talking to now, whether it's a fixed income senior from Arichat, a two-income young family working in Halifax, or a young person graduating from Yarmouth in my area, everybody is worried about the cost of living, about the cost of housing and how we've got one of the most expensive housing markets now, and are concerned about the fact that we've gone from being one of the most affordable places to live in the country to 3 years later under Tim Houston being one of the most expensive. And of course the population growth is a part of that. But on top of all these things, we're also paying the highest taxes in the country. So we've also been pushing to reform our tax system, cut the HST by the 2 points that the NDP increased it by, have a different model for pollution pricing than we have now that will better protect consumers. And for seniors, we've got to double the seniors care grant right now and make sure that the income thresholds are increasing with inflation as well, because we've got seniors that are struggling, let alone to find an affordable place to live, but with the day-to-day costs of bills, medicine, and we certainly need to help those folks that have put so much work into our province and help get us where we are today.
Now, the idea of the cap and trade model versus the carbon tax, Is that just a matter of the carbon tax model just doesn't fit for Nova Scotia, and the cap and trade is something that's more workable here? Is that kind of how you're seeing it?
I mean, it works so well, people didn't even know we had it here, and we had it here for 4 years. So we had pollution pricing in Nova Scotia under the McNeil and Rankin governments. And I think why it's preferable here is because we have such a rural population. We don't have the infrastructure or access to electric vehicles yet, or public transit to get people out of gas-powered vehicles. People in rural Nova Scotia have to drive to the grocery store, they've got to drive to their doctor's appointments. And so while they're paying a higher price at the pump, the behavior is not necessarily changing, so we're not getting the environmental benefit maybe outside of our urban centers like Halifax and Sydney. So we think it's a model that better fits the needs of people, will reduce the cost at the pumps for everyday consumers, but also do our part to protect the environment and reduce emissions. And what happened previously was the money that we collected from the big polluters, that was given then to Nova Scotians for the efficiency program. So that's what funded the solar panels, grants for electric vehicles, heat pumps. That was all funded by the bigger polluters. And right now, taxpayers are funding those programs now instead of those that are emitting the most carbon into the atmosphere. So we think it's a better model over around currently, right now, for the people of our province.
So you'd mentioned that a number of initiatives to help with affordability for Nova Scotians, put more money back in people's pockets. And one of the things you guys introduced was legislation to eliminate public transit fares for Nova Scotians, which includes funding for more than 25 community transit organizations in every county in Nova Scotia, and extra funding for transit authorities to expand their systems and create additional capacity. Your party estimates that daily commuters in Nova Scotia could save up to $1,080 each year, with seniors saving up to $792. What would the creation of transit authorities mean? What's the benefit there for Nova Scotians?
Well, right now, people are spending a lot of money for public transit where it's available. We don't have a lot of public transit options outside of our city centers. And this is about making that option more affordable for people who commute, and also making the province a true partner with public transit, because the province has not been. And that's why a lot of rural communities have a hard time establishing or expanding public transportation, because there's not provincial funding to help them do that. And this is really important because if we get more people out of cars with more public transit options, and if it's free and available, I think more people will be incentivized to. That could save those folks over $5,000 a year just in maintenance and fuel costs alone. That's big money for families, it's big money for individuals. It also has the benefit of reducing emissions and putting less pressure on our roads. And anybody like myself or anybody here who lives in a rural community knows how much road maintenance we have to spend money and time on, and how bad our roads can get. So, having more people in one vehicle, the better it is overall, we think, for people. But also making sure these opportunities are available in rural Nova Scotia, because right now they're not.
Now, you spoke about commuters and that. What would it mean to the organizations that are governing these public transit?
They're having a really hard time funding the services. And so because of that, fares are going to keep going up. So we want to stop that from happening, make sure public transit is free and that people can access it, and these community organizations and municipal governments that provide the service can rely on funding to do that.
Now, something else that we discussed this previously in another interview, you reintroduced a bill to cut the HST from 15% to 13%, which your party asserts gives Nova Scotia the lowest sales tax in Atlantic Canada. What would be the impact on business? Are you hoping that would spur some spending?
We've heard from small businesses across the province that consumers are spending less because people's budgets are getting a lot tighter. And certainly the business community supports this. They think it will ensure that goods and services are more affordable to people. And this could save the average Nova Scotian family over $1,300 a year. People that are larger consumers, again, we're targeting middle income earners, could save even more. And again, we can't have the highest cost of living in housing and power rates and inflationary costs in the country and still have the highest taxes. And the fact is we have the money to do this now. Tim Houston's been very lucky. Like, he's inherited a strong, healthy financial position because of the work the previous government did, and because of particularly the population growth that we had during COVID. We have the money to do this now, to put more money back in the pockets of Nova Scotians and not charge them the highest taxes in the country anymore.
Also, this past session, Fairview Clayton Park Liberal MLA Patricia Arab also tabled a bill to cover the cost of school supplies. How much would this save families, and what would this mean?
I mean, this would save families hundreds of dollars. It would also save teachers money, because they're spending money outside of their own pockets to make sure kids have what they need. So these measures are all about ensuring that public services are funded and reducing the cost burden on Nova Scotians. And again, I think we have to be looking at ways to do this now, because people are struggling to make ends meet. Seniors are having a hard time deciding between which bills to pay, or if they're going to be able to afford their medicine. And families that have young children are making tough decisions on whether they can put their kids in hockey or ballet, or if they're going to be able to go camping or take a summer vacation. These are really tough decisions for families, and we don't have to be the most expensive place to live anymore. We don't have to have the highest taxes.
Your party also tabled a bill to double the seniors care grant from $750 to $1,500, and for its eligibility to be increased. Your party said these ideas can save families thousands of dollars each year. Noting this at the beginning, you said your party is focused on presenting policies that make life more affordable for Nova Scotians while holding the government accountable. Is this about making life more affordable for Nova Scotians, or more about standing out from the federal Liberals as far as affordability?
Well, it's certainly something that we're focused on. They've certainly had affordability measures like the child poverty tax credit that have made an impact on families, but we're out meeting with people in communities who we're hearing directly from are really struggling with the cost, availability of housing, high taxes, and the high cost of living. And many of our seniors are on fixed incomes. They're on pensions that aren't growing with inflation. So the cost of everything is going up for our seniors, and their financial support is staying the same. So we've got to find ways to help people keep up and stay ahead to the best of their ability, because there's people falling behind right now. And we also have to remember that this impacts our healthcare system. When people are stressed out financially, when they can't put healthy food on the table, when they're worried about their water or their power getting shut off, or if those things do happen, this does impact people's health in really serious ways. So, we can't just be throwing expensive Band-Aids at the healthcare system. We also have to help people be healthier, and that means ensuring that they have what they need to survive.
Your party is claiming that the government is refusing to act, despite a report recommending that a residential tenancies enforcement unit could be set up quickly and affordably. It would be more fair to tenants and could provide teeth to deal with contentious issues, repeated non-compliance, and serious events. Your party asserts that the government says that a residential tenancies enforcement unit would add more red tape, but after a similar unit was set up in British Columbia, their residential tenancies cases backlog has been cut in half. Is there a chance the government could reverse course on this?
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, this is really simple. It's very low cost, and we have a housing crisis. And part of the issue is that there's tenants that are being unfairly evicted from their apartments or houses, And there's also tenants that can take advantage of landlords. So both landlords and tenant advocates want there to be an enforcement unit, because, I mean, laws are only as good as they can be enforced. And this, according to the government's own report that they paid $300,000 for, this would really reduce the amount of time that these tenant and landlord disputes go on for. And that means either people are able to safely stay in their apartment, or the landlords are going to be able to bring new people in who need housing as well. And I was really concerned about the dishonesty with this one. They hid this from the public for close to a year, and then they told us that in the report it did not recommend having these protections for renters and landlords. It was recommendation number one in the report. They then said it would create more red tape. The report itself states that it would reduce time that people are dealing with this. So I also don't understand why they were being so shady about this one either. It's a very simple step that they can take that can help deal with these problematic situations for tenants, where they can be, thrown out on the street, and this has happened in my constituency and communities across the province, but also for landlords that are dealing with, problematic tenants. So it's a win-win, and it's very low cost. I don't know why they won't do it.
It wasn't all criticism from the official opposition. The last session, your party applauded a move by the province to expand job protection from 3 days to a total of 26 weeks, noting that a Liberal resolution committing the government to study job-protected leave passed with all party support in November 2023. You said, and I quote, "This is an example of what can be achieved when we in government put aside our political differences to do what is best for Nova Scotians." Do you feel it's important to not only criticize, but acknowledge when the government does the right thing? And why do you feel that that's important?
Well, listen, I mean, we've got to be fair and honest. If something good happens, I have no problem standing up and saying it's good for people. I mean, I'm in this line of work because I want to have a positive impact on the lives of people, our communities, and our province. And if others do that, that's great too. This one in particular is really important. We had the worst job protection for people that get critically ill, dealing with cancer, heart disease, diabetic complications, whatever. And we do have a high level of serious illness in Nova Scotia. And so while people were fighting for their lives, they also weren't protected more than 3 days at their job, at their place of work. So that creates an additional stress for people. So we fought really hard 2 sessions ago. Last year, we filibustered till 12 o'clock every night. We put a lot of pressure on the government to pass this resolution. And I'm really proud of our team for doing that. And I'm thankful that the government moved forward with this, because now we've got job protection for those dealing with serious illness up to 27 weeks. So that's a big change for people that, again, are fighting for their lives and worried about whether they're going to be able to return to work or not.
I guess no conversation will be complete without alluding or talking about healthcare. And I know when we spoke last, you said, by every measurable metric, that healthcare is not only not improving, it's getting worse. Have any of those metrics improved? Is the healthcare system showing some signs of improvement after all the investments that were made by the current government?
Not on the things that really matter to people's health or the system overall. We've got twice as many people without a family doctor, although we don't know what that number is now because the province has also been hiding that. I think they're playing around with it to see if they can reduce it, because we've heard stories from patients who have been removed from the list without being warned about it. This is the wait list for people who need a family doctor. So we've got more people without a family doctor. We've got emergency rooms closing more than ever before. And ambulance wait times and offload wait times to get people from ambulance into hospital have tripled in a lot of areas. And Cape Breton has seen one of the worst increases in wait times. Wait times to see specialists are going up. I've talked to doctors who have told me they have patients that are dying with cancer before they can even get diagnose. So those fundamentals of the system are getting worse. There have been some good things that have happened. Being able to go to certain pharmacies and get your prescription renewed, or get a swab test for strep throat and get an antibiotic. Really good options for minor ailments and to get prescription renewed. But the unfortunate reality here in Nova Scotia is we have higher levels of certain illnesses that are serious and complicated. And if people don't have access to a family doctor, or can't get into the emergency room, or can't see a specialist, or get an MRI or a scope, I'm worried that people are going to get sicker and struggle more with their own personal health. So I'm very worried about that. And this is happening despite the fact that Tim Houston has thrown money at the wall on healthcare. And I think a fair criticism to make is a lot of that has been for more about capturing headlines and doing flashy things than actually dealing with the tough, challenging basics of our healthcare system that aren't getting better and are getting worse in a lot of ways.
Now, circling back to what we were discussing previously, you talked about the Liberal candidate here in Richmond, Rochelle Hood, and maybe you can talk about that. You've spent some time with her, and she was nominated, I believe it was mid-August, and since then she's had some time to get around the community. You've had a chance to know her, so maybe you can tell us what your impressions of her.
I'm so happy to have the chance to just meet her, and so proud and honored that she's choosing to run on our team in the next provincial election. Rochelle is a community servant. She organizes a pile of events. She supports veterans. She really cares about the success of this community. She is a doer. Elle parle français aussi. Elle peut communiquer en anglais et français. Je pense c'est important pour la région acadienne ici, Richmond. And she is a remarkable person. Has this great career in the military, again serving our country, and she's super charismatic and fun to be around, and is able to relate and communicate really well with people. So, she's got all the makings of a really strong representative here, and a person of integrity that people can trust, and I think can believe in as well.
As for candidates in some of the other ridings, such as Inverness and that, are there hopes that you're going to find someone soon? Do you expect to have someone nominated in that riding and others?
Yeah, we hope to. There's ridings historically that we've had an easier time recruiting than in others, right? So we are having really good success getting awesome people nominated in a number of ridings across the province. There's still some gaps there that we need to fill, but I've really intentionally been trying to recruit community people, not people that are like fierce partisans or that come from the Liberal Party itself. Although we need a few of those around too, but just people that really care about helping families, supporting seniors, and making sure young people are growing up and graduating into a province and an economy that they can afford and be hopeful to have a thriving future in. And we're having a lot of success getting really good, smart, capable people that are willing to step up.
It's almost impossible to ignore the rumors of a provincial election. We were talking about this earlier, and a lot of people I've spoken to seem to be of the opinion that it could happen some point in time this fall after the municipal elections. And I know you've been hearing the same rumors, and I assume the expectation is that might happen, and that you guys are in pre-election readiness mode, I guess.
Well, we have to be. The fact is that Tim Houston's first bill that he passed, his first legislation, was a fixed election date for July 2025, and that was brought in with great fanfare. So if he breaks his word and his law, I think that's going to be quite telling. But I wouldn't be surprised, so we have to get ready for it, because I do feel he has been a premier that has made a lot of big promises and has not made a lot of progress on those promises. So this would be another one, if he breaks his word to Nova Scotians on when an election will be, that I think we can put on the list of promises that have been broken to people.
Do you get the sense that Nova Scotians actually want an election at this time, right after municipal elections?
I get the opposite impression, actually. Nova Scotians I'm talking to don't want a provincial election right now. There's no need to have one. We've got a majority government. They still have, you know, little shy of a year left in their mandate. They have not made the progress that they promised on health care. Housing's getting worse, and life has become more unaffordable here. So I would expect they would want to see some progress on those things before they go to the polls. But again, if they don't, we have to be ready, and not only to hold them accountable, but to present our vision for the province for what we think we can do if we're given a mandate from Nova Scotians. And I think we've got a plan to make life more affordable for people, to have fairer taxes, to be smarter with how fast we're growing our population, and focus on the fundamentals and the things that matter in our healthcare system.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure it's a busy schedule, and coming in here and answering my questions and speaking with our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Always a pleasure. Merci beaucoup.